Good morning. Right, let's see what we can get done today. So, what are we doing today? Well, after lots of investigation yesterday about GUI stuff, GUI technologies that we started to look at on Friday, I made a spreadsheet. Let's have a look at it. It looks like somewhere around here. Not that one. No, I am prepared, honestly. Right, here we go. This. Right. So, yeah. So, we went through the list of GUI apps on the LogRocket site. And there's also other lists that are floating around once I find here it is. Once I find this, there's other lists of GUI libraries and tools and tooling and so on here, and there's a big list of them here. So I went through some of these. Apparently the more popular ones, or the ones I'd heard of before, and a few other ones that I hadn't heard of. And watched lots of videos, and I downloaded lots of repos, and tried lots of things. So, for instance, we've got Freya here, and when I was trying some of these, and I basically went through each of the different libraries and had a look and see what they offer sort of out of the box, like what's the out of the box experience. And I made a list of the things that I wanted, and made the spreadsheet with a list of how each one got on. So Freya, Floam, Iced, and ZNG seem to be the sort of top contenders. But I also discovered something else as well, which was very interesting, which is something called Crux, which is this. Let's have a look at it. There we go. Crux. And there was a good video somewhere. Introductory talk. This. And somewhere in here there was a list of like the motivation for doing it. This slide was very interesting. One of the problems that the developers seem to be trying to solve is solving the problem of writing the same application for multiple different platforms like iOS and Android. I'm in a similar situation, but not for iOS and Android. I'm in the situation for desktop and CLI. Ooh, more mosquitoes. Oh, I hate these things. Right, I got that one though. Similar situation, desktop and CLI. And I also want to do some of the same things that these guys want to do, which is have the core of my application being able to be tested really fast, which we can already do. But Crux is sort of it's a framework that other people who are coming into looking at an app after being exposed to other Crux apps will be able to understand. And where's their little overview of the components and how it all fits together? Yep, this one. Yes. And the idea is capabilities. Interesting. So let's just refresh our memory of what our app currently looks like in terms of its capabilities and see how this maps. Right. But before we do that, let's just see if... Where is it? I've got so many things going on at the moment. Yes. Did it build? Yes, it built. Okay, good. We can merge this, because I'll come on to this in a moment. Merging pull request. Yeah. No, not that one. Hold on. Go to master. Pull. Right. Yeah. Okay. So, how do the capabilities look like in our current application? Well, now on Friday, we basically had a bunch of source and then a bunch of modules. But yesterday evening, I finally made the transition to having crates within our app, so we can organise the dependencies a bit better. So we've got two main CLI apps at the moment, and we want to build a GUI app which uses some of the functionality that we've already built. So we'll start with the planner app, which now lives in here instead of being like a bin file somewhere else, and the tests for it are now next to it. Right, so our app currently looks like this. It's got a bunch of clap stuff for processing CLI args, and then it goes through a match statement on the command and then does various different things, right? And these are the different capabilities, I suppose, that this application has. So for instance, you can create a phase, you can assign placements to a phase, set placement ordering, and a bunch of other things that you can do with it, right? And this is sort of how GUI apps are, well, should be modeled, as it were. That's the idea. And then if you have capabilities, then your CLI app can use the same capabilities that is a GUI app, and you can write an API for it as well if you wanted to. And they all use the same capabilities, and the input and outputs are defined, and the core of your application is tested. And then the CLI front end, the API, you know, if it's exposed on HTTP or whatever like this, or your GUI, are ways to use the core of your application. So let's go back to this again. So here we go, architectural overview. So we have these capabilities. And then we've also got other things in our app that we know we want to do in the future, such as talking to inventory, and doing that will involve things like HTTP request responses, right? Or maybe going to a database and things like that. So a lot of this fits fairly well, I think, with what we need to do. So that's the architectural side of things. So you've got Crux, right, for laying out your capabilities of an app, but there's still no GUI. Crux doesn't have any sort of like widgets and all this kind of stuff built in it. You use whatever GUI framework or TUI framework or whatever you want with it. That's the idea. There are examples of using Crux. Let me bring this to the middle. There we are. Of using Crux with Dioxus, which we're going to be having a look at, but not in the way you think. Unless you read the title of this video, of course, and then you might think that's right. So they've got some examples of how to use it with various different things. So they don't mention desktop on here. I don't know, which perhaps is an oversight. Maybe we can contribute to this little Crux getting started guide. Right, so you've got Freya, so we're going to have a look through this in a little bit. I've also pulled up the Dioxus library cheat sheet. We're going to try looking at this. So Dioxus is a GUI framework which supports multiple different backends, including text user interfaces. But it also supports graphical user interfaces, and the graphical user interfaces can be implemented by any backend. So let's have a search for Dioxus, which I think is this. There's various different renderers, right? One of the renderers that I found is one called Freya. This one. So this basically uses Dioxus and a bunch of other technologies, the details here, to render UIs. And we had a little play with it, and it seems to support a bunch of things that I need, or that I think I need. And there were some holes in it, and I popped onto the Rust programming language Discord, and in there is a where is it? I've forgotten it. GUI and UI channel. And I was discussing, what I want out of GUIs, and other people offering their inputs and so on, and making suggestions and so on. And the author popped up in there, and I thought, oh, that's nice. And it turns out he lives in the same country as I do, which is amazing. Spain. So let's have a quick look. There is a book, and do we have? Yeah, it ends up being the same thing. There's not too much in the book at the moment. Tells you how to learn Dioxus, shows you getting started, and it shows you the differences with Dioxus, which is interesting. The library has, where is it? Let's find Git repo. Has plenty of examples. Thus, there are many of these. Let's just pull one up for a moment. And most of the examples worked on my machine, which is nice, without too much bother. What it's going to be like using them inside another project or not, is another matter. When I find examples, I prefer examples that are standalone and have like a cargo.toml in them, because then you can replicate it immediately. Whereas the examples in here, they're in the examples folder, and they're just .rs files. My preference for examples are where, especially for libraries, is where you have a standalone example with its own cargo toml, so that you can basically just copy all the content of the toml and know that you've got the exact right dependencies, and those dependencies were correct, and there isn't any extra stuff in there that you have to take out in order to make the example working as a standalone thing, because when you use it as a library it's different. So for instance, if we look at the cargo toml, you will see that there's like loads and loads and loads of dependencies and things like that, and this is fairly normal for this kind of stuff. But for me, as a sort of a new person coming to try and use this for the first time, I've no idea which one of these dependencies I actually need for a hello world example. Maybe it's in the documentation or whatever, but who likes reading documentation? People, you just want to open up the code and just run it, right? You only go to the documentation when things don't work. Right, so we're going to have to work out exactly what we need in order to make it work. So that's going to be interesting. There's loads of other examples as well. So there was the input one. It's got internationalization. There seemed to be some keyboard support. I think I found one. I tried some of these. That one doesn't have any. Can't tab around it. I don't know what we need to do with some of this. It's going to be interesting to find out. Yeah. I think I looked at some of this. Because I looked at so many different libraries yesterday, and now I'm trying to remember which one had the things that I want and which ones don't. Input, it wasn't that. Oh, I don't remember. Let's have a look at the checkbox. Well, maybe it was in that. No, was that the one I just ran? No. It's very similar to the first one that we looked at. I can't find the keyboard one. Maybe it wasn't this library that had good keyboard support. I'm looking for an example that might have keyboard. There's events. Let's see if there's an events example. No. Okay, so we're going to have to find out how to do keyboards, because I don't really want a user interface where you can't tab around the interface without using the keyboard. Let's have a look at the drop-down one. A common failure of many of the libraries that I used is the inability to use the keyboard to select items. So I can't use cursor up, I can't use cursor down. I'm pressing keys on the keyboard, it doesn't do anything. I can't type in the letters of the thing that I'm looking for to have the focus go there. So I can't type SE for second, right? Or I can't type RU for rust. And like pretty much all of the ones that I tried didn't have support for selecting the things in here. It's like if you've got like a table with lots of things in it, you want to quickly edit all the stuff, like clicking on stuff with the mouse and then using the mouse wheel to select things. No, it's too slow. It's too slow. So we're going to have to investigate that. But it would be nice. It's not an essential, so I'm willing to overlook it at the moment. So, yeah. Keyboard navigation. Definitely need better keyboard navigation support. Let me bring up my GUI comparison. So some of the other ones had better keyboard support. So no. So Floem and Iced, for instance, had better support. So, for instance, here, widget gallery, and this is what I mean about a standalone example here. So, we've got a cargo.toml, we've got the source, and we've got the assets, and I know exactly what I need to put in my dependencies in my app, what I need to add in my dependencies to make this specific example work. Yeah. Okay, so and then you can just go cargo run in each one. Let's have a quick look see. See here, I can use the keyboard to tab around things, right? And this is sort of what I would like in the other ones. Checkbox, radio, drop down. But even this one, you see, I typed in TH. Nah. Can't click on it. Can't do nothing. Don't work. You see, I don't know why. I mean, I was using the Amiga in 1992, and you could do keyboard navigation. And we're like 30 something years later, and we don't have the ability to do proper keyboard navigation. Who remembers MUI on the Amiga? Oh dear. Anyway, right. So maybe this is just port MUI to Rust. Yeah. I don't think it would probably work too well. It was very good though. It was very good, yeah. Decent menus, it had all the widgets and things you need. It was brilliant. Who remembers it? MUI, Amiga, GUI. Yes, it was so good. Has it got a list? Oh, it'd be nice if it had a little widget gallery thing somewhere. Oh wow, yeah. 90s internet. Woohoo! Awesome. It's fantastic. Amazing. Oh. Or is it in the features? Look at it, keyboard control, you see? Look at this, look at this. Oh dear. Keyboard control. Right, anyway, moving on. And this was from the 90s, and like it's 2024 now. Like, am I the only one that just feels this frustrated about like the state of like building GUIs in 2024? It's just like, why? What? Why? Why isn't this stuff already there? Anyway, okay, right, let's go. So, what are we trying to do? So firstly, we need to not do anything with Freya and anything like that. We need to try and use Crux to start with. So let's see if we can follow the Crux getting started, and see if we can poke our application into Dioxus. Now, so yeah. The problem now is I had a little read of this, and I don't know how much of this actually applies to what we want to do, because it says install Dioxus CI and use DX, right? And then you can go DX create, but I already have an existing application, so that's not what I want to do, I'm imagining. Additionally, this DX thing also seems to be what you use to serve the application, right? But there's nothing to serve, we just run the application. We're not using like trunk or a website or anything like this, right? So I'm not sure how much of this is going to apply. Yeah. Maybe we should just ignore the Dioxus stuff now and have a look at the Hello World thing. Let's bring this up as well. Right, let's have a look at the cargo.toml for the dependencies. Crux core. Okay, so let's add a Crux core dependency to... I mean, what are we going to do here? There's a couple of ways we could do this, isn't there? We could poke the existing app. Yeah, we have functional tests for the existing app, so let's make the functional test still pass while we transition one of the things to a Crux capability thing. Fine, let's go with that. Let's just go with it. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's wrong approach. Maybe it's the right approach. I don't know. But we've got our test for our planner, right? And the first thing it does is run a CLI command to create a job, right? So in the code, we've got main, and we do some configuration and some argument processing, and then if one of the args is create, then it creates a project file and it saves it. So we're just going to make that work. And then the rest of it, we'll try not to break it, I suppose. Okay, all right, let's go. So, Crux Crux core. Ooh, do we use 0.9? Let's just go with it. Let's go with it. Right. Happy days. Let's have a look at the other things in here. Build dependencies unfiffy. Don't know. Type gen. Don't know. Let's have a look, see what else is in here. Why does it have a build file? Not sure about that. I don't know what this unfifa it is. Wait, hold on. We've got hello world. Right, but wait a second. Is this a workspace? Right, this is a workspace and it's got one member with some dependencies. Fine. So we'll ignore the fact that there's a workspace there, but right, and this is using 0.8. So let's have a look. Is there a main somewhere? How do you run it? Here we go. Bin? No. No. Lib. Is it magic? Oh, again, I have to do some reading, I think. Where's the main? Hello world. There's a Crux TOML file. I think we might have to try running it. Okay, let's have a look. Kinda weird. How does it run? Wait, hold on. This example, let me just look at this a second. So, because it said doesn't actually, you can't actually run it. So you can test your app, but you can't run your app. Right, that's. Let me have a quick look at this. CLI, here we go. Right. This is more an example of what we need. There's a CLI app which you can use to run like an app. Right. This is what we need. Let's have a look. So this is using Tokyo, but there's still a main method, which is good. Cool. Quick look around. What's this core thing? Mod core. Right. Shared core new shared. but it's not very easy to navigate around. That's what I'm finding so far. So we've got our app. There's our app. How does it? This core is this one. Right? And this creates a new one. Where's this new method on here? Shared. App star. So if you get core, a mod called core. Is there a mod called core? Where's the mod? I'm trying to find the module called core. Look, because this goes shared core with a capital C. Is this created by a macro? Oh, I see. But wait. I see. So this creates a Crux core. Fine. Okay. Now I understand it. It's core with a capital C. Right. So then what does it do? So it creates a Crux core. Then it creates an event by turning the command, which is the argument parser, into an event. Right. Curious. Yeah. It's a bit funky. Yeah. Be nice if there was an example for the Hello World thing that used the CLI. So it actually printed Hello World out, wouldn't it? Well, you know. Fine. So how do we map that to what we want to do? Let's have a look. Let's go back to this. Let's just try it. Let's try stuff. So, I don't know how far we're going to get with this today, but we'll see. So we've got our planner, this one, right? And essentially, sort of like this stuff is the app. Okay. Let's plot this here. Let's call it planner. Okay, fine. You need a struct to be the root of the app. Check. Fine. Turn it into an app. We need to implement app. I'm just going to slap all this next to each other. I'll reorganize it a bit later. what is going to go in this model. Okay. Missing 4 associated types. Is that what we're seeing? Yes. So. Single capability called render. Okay, so right. Yeah, you see, with us it's a little bit different because we don't actually have like a main loop in our app. we just like do stuff and then exit. So there's no real render. Huh. Interesting. Well, maybe there is a render and then once you've done it, it quits or something. I don't know how this is going to work. This might be a bit weird. This is why the Hello World example for this might be nice, because, you know, it's just going to print Hello World and then exit, right? With the capability of printing Hello World. Yeah, let's have a quick look at the capability of the Hello World app, just for shits and giggles. It's got a render. So you create a tester, you've got the model, you say update, no event, and it's going to say hello world. Interesting. I'm trying to work out how this is going to map, like the view of this, how this is going to map to the CLI app, because at the moment we basically just like print out the log statements, right? So like, what's it going to do other than print out log statements still? You know, it's going to create files and have like side effects and things like this. But is there actually anything to render? I don't know. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah. Capabilities need to be able to send the app the outcomes of their work. Right. What is the... Let's have a quick look at our thing. What is the output of this command? It goes create. You get a project and it creates a file on the file system. Well, I suppose it creates a new project. Which is then serialized. I'm having a hard time deciding what the output of these things actually is. Because all of these things basically just update the project, right? They load it, they do stuff, and they save it with some various inputs on each one. They just update the project. That's all our app does. It just updates project files. With the exception of generate artifacts, which creates a report as well. So, like... send... There's nothing? Okay. I don't know. We're going to the blah 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 blah. So trying to grok this as I go over it. I'm sure once you do this like a bit more frequently, all this becomes sort of like a bit more obvious. But I don't really have a view model at the moment. I have an event with some like CLI args, I suppose. Is the model the project? It probably is. Probably is, because everything works with the project file, right? Huh. Well, that's going to be fun, because it's, you know... It's a large object. It's got lots of things in it. Yeah. And the match statement that we've got, which iterates over that, which sort of matches on that command CLI argument, basically will transition to this, right? Which then will run methods to do stuff. Okay. Okay. So, Why does it need this type gen thing? Okay, let's borrow some of this and see how far we get. These were next to this. What are these serialized and deserialized things? Where do they come from? Surday. Okay. Yep. And obviously we're going to move all this stuff around a bit later. And then what do we do? Implementing the app trait. So we need this model thing, right? We've got the model with nothing in it right now, which is fine. And we've got a view model, which can be nothing. Because all our app does is log. So we'll try it. See what happens. We've got the render thing already. And then we've got to implement the app. Right. Right. So this is what we need. So the event is going to be event. The model is going to be the model. The view model is going to be the view model. And the capabilities are going to be the capabilities. Fine. Right, let's see what happens if we try and run all the tests at this point. Just out of curiosity. Does everything compile? No. Right, we're going to schlep in Surday here. I'm not quite sure why it needs this. Or why it thinks... Yeah, okay. Alright, everything's unused. Okay, we didn't break anything yet. This is good. Probably because we're not doing anything with those structures. But, you know, it compiles at least. So that's good. Let's implement it the same way. I suppose we just go view model with no data in it. Fine, for now. Right, but does it work? So no, we don't care about this bit yet, I don't think. Or maybe we do. Let's. I mean, what can we assert here? Let's schlep in a test here. Well, it's not really hello, it's going to be planner. Well, there is no data. Do we have a... Suppose we can have that one, right? Let's see what happens. No. Well. Sure. Right, yeah, okay, well, fine, you know. Partial EQ. And it can't print it out, so we're going to go debug as well. But does it run? Planner. Well, I suppose that's all we can test right now. Is don't die. Isn't broken. I don't know. Minimal. Okay, fine. So we've got a Crux thing and it does stuff, but it only does stuff from within here. So I don't know. I mean, so let's try and keep the functional test that we've already got that run the CLI app with all the arguments and all that kind of thing. And try and port one of those arguments to this planner thing. So we've got this capabilities, and we've got the events. So let's say create project. Right. And then this is where we need to look at the event thing, I think. Update match on the event. Right. So let's ignore this. Right. So I suppose down here we've got this. So let's cut it. And paste it in here. So where do we get this project name from? Yeah. Okay. So like, how'd you get args in here? It's probably on these. What is this? There you see. This one's quite simple because it's like a string. We need arg parsing and all this kind of malarkey. Yeah, no, we're okay. We're okay. So let's go project name string. Okay. Now this project file path comes from the path argument, right? So I suppose we need that here. Right. Okay, so if we get a create project event, then we can do stuff. Yay. But then what else should we do in here? Are we supposed to do something with a view model like it was doing a bit ago? Let's have a look. They always go render. So let's just do the same in this example. Oops. Sure. Right, so we've got an update method and we've got an event. So now we need to go from this to a Dioxus thing. Not Dioxus thing, Crux thing. In this CLI app, there was this line of code which took a command from the args the command property of the arguments, and converted it to an event. So there's a from for the args. So fine, we can do that. We can do that. We can go let event equals op stop. How about we go try from or something? Because we don't have all of the different arguments in here yet, right? So if we go... So instead of doing this... Alright. We'll go something like... event, yeah, and then blah 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 blah, and then if we've got some event, we'll do something, and if we don't have an event, we'll do all the things that we were doing before. Right? Yes, I know, the nesting level, blah, it's only temporary, don't worry. Everything's fine. Yeah, so we need to get an event. And this is going to be an optional one, so this is event. And we're going to specify the type for now. Something like that. Let's have a go at this. Try from or try into? Oh no. What's the difference? Let's go try into. On the grounds that the other code was doing into. Now, this can't move. So we'll use a reference to it, I think. I mean, can we do that? Maybe? Probably not. I don't know. Try into event for a reference of command, maybe? And you get an event. That's what we want. But it might fail if we haven't added it yet. And then the error, I don't know what the error is going to be. Let's go struct invalid unknown event error. Am I doing the errors right? I can't remember. Oh, I've got there's a derive error somewhere around. Derive error. Yeah, here's one. Yeah. We could go enum. Why am I still having issues with this? I don't know. Is it because... Not sure. Not regular expression, please. Not regular expression, please. There we go. So this error comes from this error, right? Have we not got this error as a dependency? No. Okay. Okay. What about now? There we go. Okay, so the error is going to be the event error. And we're going to go match on self. And the only one we're going to support is going to be the first one. And don't think there's any arguments for that. So we go event. Well, how do we get the things? Because it's more than just the command, isn't it? We basically need the whole options thing. We need the whole options. So it's not really this, is it? I guess it's going to be the whole options. Right? And then I suppose we can steal these. Because they're common for everything, right? And then we're going to go event, and it's going to be create project. And we're going to fill in the missing fields, which is going to be the project name and the project file path. And then this, I suppose, self is already a reference, right? And this needs to be an OK, one of these. And this needs to be an error of one of those. Why is it complaining? Should we clone it? Self is already a reference, right? Seems a bit weird doing that, but okay. You know, we can poke this around a little bit later. I'm not really too bothered about the focus of this bit right now. So the idea now is that we've got a way of creating an event from this. Why? Have I got those the wrong way around? Yes. But why? We want. I mean, we did that. Try into. Okay. Oh, it consumes self. Oh, maybe it was. Maybe we were supposed to be using try from. Library authors should not directly implement it, instead prefer to try from. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Let's have a look at try from again. So. So the thing you pass it is that. Okay, fine. Let's have a look at this. So the value is the ops and the self is the event. Okay. Okay. Let's just move all this into here. Everything's fine. Match value. Right, now we shouldn't need to clone it. Yeah, but that's fine. We've got a reference to a string, which is fine. That's what we want. And then here we want the value.paths. Let's rename this value to opt. Create project. I suppose we need to clone it here. So what are we doing here? We're matching opt.command. Right. Okay. Right, I think we got it that time. Okay. Back down to main. So let's see if we can go. No. Oh, try into. Should that do it now? No. This is not an option. This is a result. And if it's okay with an event, you do this. And if it's an error of whatever, because there's only one, then we try processing normally. Fine. Okay. So now we need to work out how to do the other thing that CLI app was doing, which was this. Which seems all manner of weirdness. Now, this is going to be weird now, because previously there wasn't like this loop, right? It just did one thing and then exited. you get a channel, I suppose, with a TX and an RX. And it wants a reference counted thingy, so that when it gets dropped, the TX gets dropped. When this finishes, when the last thing that uses it stops using it, it gets dropped. You give it an event, you give it a core. Let's see what happens if we just... Wait, what was this core? This core... was doing this. Oh, this... Oh. Yeah, this is all manner of weirdness. For effect in core process effect. Huh. It feels like we want to borrow this bit. Let's just create a mod for now. And we'll do it the same way. Okay. Okay, we're going to need to borrow some things here now. This shared core is really a Crux core, right? I'm guessing it's that. What is this app though? Right. This app, what is this? Right, and that's the planner, right? Sure. And the shared bit was the Crux core. This is the main event. No idea what a sender is, but sure. This is going to be the tracing thing. Fine. Why is it not right? So this event thing is going to need to have debug on it before you can trace it. And now I've lost my code. Here we go. Here it is. Right. Process event. So yeah. Okay. Effect. Blah 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 blah. Anyhow. What result is this? This is probably an anyhow result, because it's using the anyhow macro here, right? And then we've got a semicolon here. Let's have a quick look at this other bit. So it goes match the effect, and then it just goes OK at the end. Fine. Okay. That seems about as minimal as I can get it. So then what was happening in the main for this CLI thing was it was doing this, and then it was doing this, and then it was doing all of this. So let's just borrow all this and stick it here. What's this unbounded thing? I have no idea what this is. I don't have the core. I do have the event though. They all end up going okay at the end of it. Confirmed. This confirmed thing? I don't know what this is. That's probably something we don't need for now. Let's just delete it. I mean, there's nothing to do with this. But this unbounded thing is mystifying me. What is this? What is this? Crossbeam channel. Oh, I see. Do you need to use crossbeam for this? Let's just look at crossbeam channel for a minute. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's not too many dependencies. That's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. But maybe there's loads of dependencies in this. There's not. Okay, let's just go with using it for now, just to make sure, you know, get things working. So we're going to say crossbeam channel. Okay, latest one. Fine. So now, not that one. This one. Now we can go back to our code and try adding one of these. Oh, I did that already. No. Where's... Oh, yes. We need to add it here, right. Crossbeam channel. And we take the version from the workspace. Import. Right. So this thing here, this TX, is the wrong thing. probably because where we created this mod, we had this sender, which is the wrong type of sender. This probably needs to be a crossbeam sender. So we could probably not use crossbeam here if we didn't want to for now. But fine, whatever. Okay, so we've got our main loop. And maybe it works now. Pass or fail. I'm going to go compile fail. Ah, damn it, I was right. The error doesn't implement this, fine. Sure. Question mark can operate return result object. Well, yeah. I mean, so what can you do here? There was this, interestingly, there was this Boolean little flag thing where you've got this confirmed thing, or there was an error. And I did see some processing where it handled anyhow errors, right? Okay. What is this @ symbol doing here? I have never seen that syntax before. What's it doing? It's going tx send. Tx is an arc sender of effects. And it sends the effect of the... I don't know what this syntax does. That's really weird. But apparently you get a render out of here, maybe? I honestly don't know. I might have to look that syntax up because I've never seen that before. And then we map the error. And if there is an error, then you get an error. Oh, which is the anyhow error. So, render. Look, I don't know what this is here. It's a bit weird. Type gen? Let's have a look at the CLI one from their thing again, from their example. So the app had a view model, but what's this? Yeah, confirmed, right? So if something happened, they set this flag, but let's see what it does. Let's see if we can find the word confirmed. Huh. So, if the model contains an optional project, maybe, and then the project is there, then you know it worked, in our case. Let's go to the model and make this less empty and go project, and we go option project. Okay. I don't know if this is exactly what we want here, but we use it as a starting point to see if we can work out how all this is supposed to work. So, the idea is if the model contains something. Right, so how do we poke the model? So we've got a model here, and it's a mutable reference to a model, which is good. So I don't know, we could put the project in the model dot project replace with project. Maybe. How about that? Well, we need to go default on here. Yeah, we've still got this issue, and then we've got this partially moved. Yeah, okay, so we have to move these out of here and put these here, because it either needs to use it or the other one does. Probably. Yeah, close. Partially moved here. Oh. Let's just go clone here. Nope. Really? Oh, the other one is what? What is this? I'm not too fussed about the additional sort of cloning at this point in time. Right, so this could fail. So I suppose if well, I mean, what happens to the error? what happens to the error? Like if there's an error, where does it go? Like if project save fails, okay, let's do it like this to start with, and then we'll add a to do. So if it works, okay with whatever. I wish it wouldn't do that. What do we do with that error? Project save gives a result of nothing, so we don't use the thing. We just need to know whether it's saved it or not. Right. Look, it worked. Ta-da! Okay, what was the point of all this again? Oh dear. Let's see how we can deal with this error. Like what should happen if there's an error? What happened before was that it would print out the error message, right? Because it had a question mark operator inside the main method, right? And if there's a question mark operator there, then you get an anyhow result, and then it prints it out, right? And it probably quits things. Let's look at the CLI app again, because it did some other stuff. Right. This little core thing here went... no, it wasn't that. What was it? There's nothing in here that ever returns like an error. I mean, so the way this is supposed to normally exit is if you press Control C, right? Let's look at another example. How bizarre. Interesting. Yeah. Let's have a look at another one. I mean, we could put the error in the view model, I suppose, and then just like bail with the error. How would we do that? Okay, let's think about this. What if the view model contains a result of an anyhow result of a Boolean? Let's make it do that. Yes, but you can't do that. How do you create a new one of those? Optional result? It seems a bit weird. I'm not sure about that. You can't do that. Let's get rid of that. We're going to break the test, but we don't care about that right now. But the I'm not sure about how you propagate errors up. How do you use a different view model depending on what your event is? Like, could the view model be an enum? Should it be an enum? What do we do with this error? Do we just log it? Do we tell the user what it is? Do we print out the message? What? What are we supposed to do? Should we use an either, and you either get confirmed or an error message? Perhaps that's what we should do. Because this doesn't look right. This seems wrong. There's this thing, isn't there? This thing. This is what everybody uses. Does success. You can't create a new result until you've done something. You can't create a new either until you've done something. So maybe an optional result is better. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we just go an optional. Don't know. I don't know. I'm so confused right now. I just don't know. I don't know. Like, I've got my model, but like, where do I record in the model that some operation failed? Okay. Let's have a look at some more examples. So, one of the things that can fail, I suppose, model. Yeah. What if it fails? I want to see an example of error handling. To do display an error. Great. That's not helpful. Panic. No. So that's no good really, is it? Catfax, no. Counter. Let's go to the counter and look at the shared source for this again to see if there's any error handling in here. They just go panic. Like, how can this confirmed not get set? Is some, none. They just panic. Really? I might have to... okay, well, hold on a second. Let's have a look at... one of these, I suppose. No. No, it doesn't help. It will still just, it'll panic the what will it do? So if you're running a web Dioxus thing and then it panics because it can't update the counter because the server went offline or something like that, right? Then like, does this panic just end up killing the thread that it's running on? And is there some sort of like wrapping stuff around the thread? But even then, what happens to it? So there's also some event chaining which is sort of going on in here. So you basically go create, and then there's another bit of code which is like maybe save or something. So, but should we be doing like and calling ourselves with all the things? Let's have a look. Let's have a think about that, because lots of these things, they basically have project save and a question mark at the end, right? Project save and a question mark at the end. Project save and a question mark at the end, right? Which is all repeated code. So if we said, ignoring this error handling for the moment, that the event is save, right? Let's see if we can just do that. And that was inside here. We go self.update with event save, and you pass it the model and the caps again. And then this bit we move to event save. We don't have this. Well, I suppose so. Well, I mean, that's interesting. In order to be able to save it, you need the project file path. So should that go in the model? I don't know. Maybe that's not really a thing that you need to do. Let's do it and see what happens, though. But it's got a reference to it. Path buff. Project name. Oh, file path, sorry. Oh. Oh dear. I'm pressing the wrong button. Do. How'd you get these out of here? Project. then, you know, what do you do if you don't have these things? That would be quite silly. Need a tuple here. What on earth happened there? Ignore my bad typing. Yeah. I don't know, you can't save it if you don't have it, right? And you can't save if you don't know where you've got to save it to, so fine. Can't serialize this, 1,000 errors. Event. Oh. Back to view model. Yes, expected view. Well, we're just going to ignore this for now. Yes, we know about this. The view model contains this confirmed option thingamajigamy. But what do you do here? So I mean, should I honestly don't know what to put in this view model for a CLI app. It's like we saved it. I don't want to take it out of it in case we want to do other sort of like chainy things and stuff like this, right? Because I know I want to extract the refresh stuff, because somewhere down here we've got this all this refreshing stuff, right? And this is repeated everywhere. Well, not everywhere. In 4 places anyway. Let's have a look. What do we do? What do we do? How can we do something useful here? Let's say should quit. Screw the result. I don't care. How can we pass the thing from the model into the view model? How can we decide this? Should there be an error there? What about if we have an error which is an optional of type error? Can we do this? No? No, because that's not how it works. And you kind of want these because this is a trait. I think you can have a boxed error though. Okay, let's see if we can make this happen. it feels like we also need the same thing in the model. Like, because otherwise how can you copy it into the view thing, right? I don't know. Let's go model dot error replace with box new E, maybe stick it in a box. I suppose we could do something here. Model dot error replace with anyhow. How do you use this anyhow macro? I forget. You just go anyhow and then whatever. Save, attempt to save without project and path. And we need to put it in a box probably. Sure. And I suppose we go model dot error dot take. No. Oh. Can't take it. Can we clone it? Okay. But then, you know, how do you... Seems a bit... Don't know. I don't know how you're supposed to do error handling with this. So if there's an error, we've got this view now. If view dot error, well, I suppose if let some error is this, then bail with the error. Maybe. I don't know. Well, you can't serialize a boxed-in error. That's madness. Yeah. Never gonna happen. Why does it even need serialize on here anyway? Like, is this... why? View model serialize. So it needs to be able to be serialized. Fine. So, no. I suppose the best we can do is put a string in there, really. Fine. Format. E. What does this give you? Well, yeah. Oh, I can actually put that in there. Wait a second. We can put that in there. I don't know whether we want to or not. But anyway. Format. Nope. Option string. Some. Okay, what about now? Stood error. Well, yeah. Can we have anyhow error there? Yes. Do we need a box? No. Because we only added the box because of the din thing, right? Creating job. Okay. What happened? I mean, it said error none, but oh well, that's because we were being silly. We have to map it. Model dot. I don't know. How do we go from? If it's none, I want it to stay none, and if it's some, I want to map it. I don't know. Maybe. Model is not an iterator. Yes. Oh, sorry. Model dot error. Cannot move. Well, yeah. Shall we? No, we have the same thing, really. What are we supposed to do here? You can iterate over an error, an optional anyhow error. No. What do we want to do? Let's just ignore this rubbish and go. I don't know. I mean, we've got the same issue here. Like, what are we supposed to do? What can we do with an option? You know, I thought you could map it, sure, but you know. It's just my IDE just annoying me. You can't clone the error. Let's just go we'll just do this the stupid way. Like, I'm sure someone out there knows the right way of doing this. Don't like it. I'm probably just failing to use the API. But anyway, sure. Everything still works. What do we do here? What do we do? I mean, we can pass errors back now. I suppose that's good. Okay, let's fix this test. View model needs to implement partial EQ. I mean, it can now because it's a string. I mean, it works. Let's see what these are. Irrefutable if-let pattern. Huh, that's interesting. This will be this error will, this clippy warning rather, will come up with the Crux examples when you try and compile them. Still a bit fuzzy around all this rendering capability and processing effects and so on when you do some updates. And I still have no idea what on earth this @ symbol is doing here. How do you even search for that? Rust match arm with @ symbol? Bind a pattern to a name. So E is a U size if it's between 1 to 5. And then what does that look like in this code? So but why doesn't Oh, I see. So this matches the whole thing, regardless of what is inside the render thing. You still get the. Why can't you just use effects like this instead? What's the difference? Like, why would you need it? I suppose you know that this is a render effect as opposed to something else. And it gives it perhaps a more meaningful name. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Alright, fine. Yeah, I'm a Rust noob. What can I do, you know? You know, I've spent nearly 3 years writing Rust code now, but I'm still a total noob. Right, okay, so irrefutable let pattern. Right, it's only because the only effect is render. Is that right? And then if you add more, then it wouldn't be. So if the effect but wait, it's a struct and not an enum? Wait a second. That's confusing. Let's have a look at another one. Capabilities. Capabilities is a struct. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what capabilities are. So my planner app is capable of doing what now? Okay, let's read a little bit more about capabilities. Interesting. Yeah, I think I misunderstood potentially what these capabilities were from what I've seen thus far. What should happen in response to events? But not how it should happen. So maybe store is what it should be doing. So what should happen in the case of a create project event is that a project should be created and then it should be stored. So you go create and it goes store. And then you give it the model. So maybe, but it okay. Let's think about that for a moment. Can you do multiple things? So instead of going capabilities rendering blah blah blah, maybe you go somewhere here. Okay, interesting. So perhaps the save thing should use the capabilities dot store. I don't know. And maybe there's a load as well, perhaps. And I guess that sort of makes sense. I mean, like, where are these capabilities defined? You know, should it be like this? Instead of this? Oh. And then this render thing is like, it renders an event. Don't know. Like, say we had, what would it be? Let's just randomly do this. And then I guess we go. And we do this. Because, like, how you save a project file, you know, because at the moment we've got this project save thing and it's just like an associated function. and this again could fail. Let's just borrow these arguments from here for a moment. You know, maybe we could just replace that with this project store thing entirely at some point. Oh, I've got project profile file path. Where'd that come from? Typo there. That's great. I love it. Sure, you know. Okay. Let's just move this into here for the moment. Maybe not. No. Let me put it back in here for now, while I think about all this. So it's kind of curious. This is like, where does all the code go? Where does it belong? Because we have this notion of stores already, and the idea is that if you've got some URL of some random system or whatever like this, you can talk to it and do whatever it is depending on the type of URL that you're using, right? At the moment we've got like paths basically, but at some point in the future we want to be able to expand that to use different types of mechanisms for storing things. Yeah. That's okay. Fine. Then what happened? So we go caps.store. Oh, .save. Let's rename this to project store. I mean, is it? Like the render thing, when this is used, it calls render on it, right? Which seems a bit redundant. You're going render, store. You know. Oh, self. You know, doesn't use self. What can we do? Capability should be generic over a single event type. Okay, let's look at the other ones. So they all go event. But why would the project store need to care about the event? I don't know yet. Let's have a look. Maybe I'm thinking about this entirely wrong. But this, I don't care. Capability context. Why do I need an event? Capabilities. I'm very confused about these capabilities right now. Okay, let's see if we can read more, because now that I tried that, it doesn't make any sense. What should happen in response to an event? So when we say save, we render something. I don't know. Is that right? Capabilities need to send a message to the shell. Add to the set of side effects which result from an update function. Oh, that's interesting. Probably should be using that in here. I don't know, maybe you can go file save, maybe it's okay. Oh yeah, I suppose interestingly, for the CLI, the other things they're going to need to, there's some other commonality here, which is loading the project every single time. They all load the project. Which I suppose if you had a GUI app for this, you would only load it once, then you would do a series of operations, and then you might go save, right? And if you're a CLI app, you might force the load and save events to happen at the start and end. Let's have a think about that. So we saw that in... I am getting a little bit... what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word is. A bit all over the place. But I saw, I believe, somewhere in one of these examples, was it cat facts? Yeah, it does this. It goes restore and then this, right? So it runs all these. That's interesting. So if you said run the loop with the event load and then run the event with whatever the command gave you and then run the event save at the end of it, right, they all follow that same pattern, don't they? Whereas a GUI app, you might go file open and then it would run the load event and then you might do some operations and then at the end of it you might go file save and then you might go file quit. Okay, that sort of makes some sense. That sort of makes some sense. Fine. So this little bit here, right, this is what they're talking about once at the end instead. Okay, so let's extract this, because this run loop is basically you have the queue and then you do stuff and then you drain the queue and away you go. But the core stays around forever. Right. So if we refactor and extract a method to that and do the run loop thing. Why would they pass a vector of events to it and then only ever do it once? Oops. Come back. All is forgiven. Reorganize that. I only ever want to do one thing at a time, so why is this moaning now? So instead of this going save here, it shouldn't do that. But they can't all follow the same pattern because the create one is different because there's no project to load. I guess it just replaces the project that's there. Huh. Curious. And let's do it again and say let's do that for the moment. See where we're getting. Yeah, it's like I don't know about this project store thing. Like I don't know about that. I honestly don't know about that. Like this capabilities for storing things. It's like you know, maybe it takes 10 minutes to store it, or it has to save it on a NAS or on a server somewhere, and in which case you would want to have some store like that. But let's just see what happens when we do this. Like, why do we need should it be like should this have a trait on there? Oops, make it generic. You know, it's not used by anything. This render thing, EV. Capability event is not implemented for project store. So maybe let's try that. Let's go impl capability EV for project store EV. Operation. How about we give it load and save? Enum project store operation. Load and save. I don't know. I don't know. Map event. It's pretty random. I don't know. What have we got here? What are we supposed to be doing? We've got a function where it takes a new event. and gives you back probably this is completely wrong. Where do you get the model? How do you do things? What's the point of this? Implementation can we derive macro? Can you? Okay, let's not do that then. Like putting the operations in here seemed sort of useful. What happens? How do I use these? What do I do? Cannot find a field name context. Should I have a context in this render? Does it have a context? It does. Do you always need one? Let's find out. Render operations. So maybe this should be project store operation here. Okay. Operations not implemented for project store operation. Okay. Okay, let's try that. Because that's probably where these operation things need to go. Impl operation for project store operation. I don't know what's the output. Let's say anyhow result. We've got to derive partial EQ and serialize. Sure. It's trial by fire today. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing here, but some of it sort of makes sense. But it do. Okay, now what? Project store operation. It still needs more things. Debug. You can't create a new project store. Let me just comment this out for a moment. Because I'm pretty sure it's wrong. What would you do with the new project store? Let's have a look. Can you implement default for it? You can't. Operation output. Okay, well. Boxton error again, maybe? No, because that can't be serialized either. It either loaded it or it didn't. It either saved it or it didn't. I don't know. Why does it need a new... Let's go... I mean, what are you supposed to do here? Context. One was supplied. Does it? Oh, does it give you a context? It probably does. I bet it's that. I'm guessing. I guess right. Okay, I mean, yeah, and then, but where? What do we? How do we implement the save? How do we actually make this project store actually store something? Self.context.map event. But then it creates a new one with don't know. Don't know. Let's read more about it. Orchestrating capability calls. Show me an implementation. Capability, delay, context. New takes the context with a delay operation. Right. And you give it the context. Right. But then it's got this milliseconds. Then why do you need a context? Capability generic type EV and horizontal capability context. The constructor. And the event to send back. Okay, an event with data looks like. Random. Capabilities. Yeah, we had the thing that you want to do. Why do I need a context? Why do I need to spawn things with async stuff? I mean, I don't need to do this, but for this particular thing. Context request from shell. But where does it actually do the waiting? What? Where does the actual waiting happen? Don't... Where does the actual waiting happen in this example? I can't see it. Like this. I might be missing something more here. What is this context? Who's supposed to be doing the waiting? Request from shell in the capability. So the effect is that you're supposed to save something. Okay. Okay. I'm still a little bit confused about what these capabilities are because I thought they were something completely different. Okay, so I've got a bit of code, right, which saves the project. And are we saying that it's down to the shell to save the file? Is that what this is saying? It's down to the shell to wait a little bit in the case of the millisecond example. And you do that in this process effects thing. Where is it? I can't even find it anymore. You do that in this run loop thing, which I think is this. Let's just say match effect now. And if we're supposed to render, look, I'm going to use one of these. Do we care? Well, we don't actually care. What? I mean, a request? Well, we don't match on it, that's for certain. Do you go request operation? And is this where you go? I mean, what do I have here? like, what? Wait a second. A capability. But there's no detail here about how you actually do the waiting. So the development thing's missing like a section on effects. Maybe it's here. What's this? Process effect. What on earth is this? It seems a bit odd. Sure. But I've got this project, I mean, we've got this. Somehow I need to call. Whoa. What? Right. My thing has got a public API, that's what it said. Right. Capabilities. Intent versus execution, right. I'm not sure about this. Like, let's borrow this for a second. And let's pretend that this is save that takes these things. Right. And then we've got a I see, project store operation, and then perhaps I can put in, but this seems dumb, but maybe. I've got a reference. There's no way I want to clone the entire project right now, but is that what you're supposed to do? I don't know. I mean, it sort of makes some sense. And then we still need to do this somehow, but this project store operation, right, but this is where it said it changed it to be a particular type, right? So this needs to be save. And therefore, oops, a daisy. And therefore save needs to have a project and a because you can't serialize a reference to a project. And the project file path is, let's make it do it like that, I suppose. Let's see what happens. Partial EQ. Why does it need partial EQ on here? Can't compare it, but who's trying to compare it and why? It is required for project store capability to implement operation. An operation needs serialize. And partial EQ. But why? It'd be nice to know why, but I don't feel I want to dig into the code that much. Can we make it? Can we implement it ourselves? I mean, I wouldn't like to implement it ourselves and do a sort of basic comparison on like the project doesn't implement partial EQ. Like, maybe it can, but no. A B-tree map. Object path and placement state. Placement state. Can we compare these things? Maybe. It seems a bit mad to be sprinkling these around everywhere. I don't really like it. Reference base state. What about now? I mean, but can we I want to keep it in the model. I don't want to clone the entire project to send it over the wire and save it. That's madness. It's got like 1,000 things in it. Not sure about this at all. Really not sure about this. Like a project store to save a thing, and the thing is big. It's like the content of stuff. Where should the serialization stuff be? I suppose you have to start asking yourself. Should we just be sending us some JSON over? Perhaps. Should we? Yeah, I mean, we could potentially be sending the serialized content over, but let's have a think about that. So we've got this save, and it takes a project. But if it didn't take a project and it just took a string instead, then it's up to the shell remote system to try and save this content into a file with the name of this. Is it the shell that should do it, or is it the core that should do it? I mean, it feels like it's the core that should do it, and this saving process store operation is garbage. No. Curious. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about this store stuff. Still, we learned stuff. Okay. Let's go. Where was the last time the test passed? That's what I want to know. Oh, there. Okay. Was this, and this was before we added all this project store stuff, right? Yeah, we were just saving it directly. Where's my local history just disappeared to? Here. Oh, don't do that. Wait, who does that? Like it. Now. Revert. Run everything again. Okay, so I think using the store like that was probably not really the right way to do it. Need a bit more investigation of how to use that stuff. Okay. Let's do a quick commit and just go. But let's create a branch first. Testing. What is this? Crux. On. Yeah, testing Crux. Scribe. Create a branch. Okay. Work in progress. convert planner to a Crux app. What do we do? Crossbeam? No, this version should be elsewhere. And then we added a whole bunch of code. Which yeah, allows us to separate some things. It did, honestly. Look, we had got create project and we've got save. Yeah. I mean, everything still works. Is it right though? I'm not at all sure and or convinced or anything at this point in time. What did we do? I mean, like, what did we do? Let's have a look now at the Rust and Dioxus one. Now that we've had a little play around with Crux to see how we might or might not create capabilities and render things. I think more of this might be more obvious what you're supposed to do when you start actually building a GUI for this as opposed to CLI. Yeah, let's have a look at this now then. Let's have a look, see if we can see. So we've got the process effect, right, core view. Yeah. Curious, isn't it? Like, because apparently, like, these Crux apps are sort of composable in that you can make like chunks of an app and then use lots of app chunks, as it were, almost like microservices. This is what Stuart was saying in his video. But what does it look like to... So here we go. So we've got some GUI stuff. And it's saying when you press the button, you're supposed to send the increment event. Let's have a look at this. So still very fuzzy on this. Let's look at more example code. So let's look at the web Dioxus one, right? That's this. So the core send, that's in this. Wait, where was that? Core.send. Run update. Is this core not the core that I'm thinking? What? Okay, so this core is what? Core. Use coroutine. So it creates a new core service and then calls run use coroutine. Where's that come from? It's probably from Dioxus. I guess it must be, right? What does it do? Features that can be manually stopped, start, paused, and resumed. Okay. So you basically just go run on this and you wait on it. So service, core service is what? Core service run async method, right? And then what does it do? There's a lot of pieces to hold in your brain for all this. So you give it a receiver of an event. Wait, what? And it gives it an event. Oh, I'm a little bit confused by the fact that this is taking a reference to an unbounded receiver of type event, whereas this core send I still don't know where this send thing comes from, the send method comes from, because it... Like, where does this come from? What does use coroutine do? It gives you a use coroutine implementation. And there's probably a send method on it, right? And that has to be of some type. Which isn't really specified, but it has to be that type because this method is this and that's based on core service, and this method will tell you what the type is. Which isn't clear, which is why it needs that. I suppose it infers the type of the core service implementation because of this. And then what does it do? It assigns the view to the self view, which is a signal of a view model. But this looks weird to me. I don't understand this line of code. What is going on here? It's dereferencing the result that you get back from write, and then it's assigning that to a view? Okay, weird. So maybe it's a view writer and it's got a, I don't know. That's weird. And it goes self-update with a view. So self-update is this. And then you get some events and you've got to process them. And if it's render, then you... But didn't it already do that? Didn't it already do that? Why is... Or is this a different one? I don't know. It's too hard to follow. I'm not following this at all well. Like, where is the code that actually updates a user interface? Am I failing to find it? Probably. Like, where does this decrement and increment get processed? It's not here. It's not here. Is that in this bit? That's in this bit. Hmm. So yeah, okay, all right, fine. It bears. Yeah, I need to think more about this. So, I think part of my understanding of how this is supposed to work is that I've got a bunch of stuff that's in sort of one file at the moment, and it's in the CLI planner file, right? But that's not where it's supposed to live forever. And I think that's probably where my brain might be getting slightly confused by all this. So all this app code that we've got here needs to be pulled out and put in like a shared crate maybe, or something, not entirely sure. Maybe it belongs in the planning. Maybe the app bit belongs in the planning. Along with all these things. That's probably where that needs to live. And then whatever's going to be left in this, where is it? In the main method, once I find it again, is just going to be the argument parsing code, basically. Yeah. So all of this stuff is basically going to move to the planning app, which sort of makes sense. Okay, right. We've been going quite a while now. We're about 3.5 hours into this stream today, but we've learnt stuff. Not entirely sure what we've learned. I think it's probably going to be more obvious once we start adding the actual GUI. But I need a break right now. So, what I think I'll do. What shall I do? I mean, there's a couple of things I could do. One is port the rest of this into an app and then move it into the planning crate, right? So that only the CLI dependencies are in the CLI planner. Right, and then if that was done, then the next thing we could do is create a GUI planner crate with the Freya dependencies, and then try making that use the app which we ported over, so that we have a little user interface and we go file load using a menu and it shows you the status, or I don't know, something like that, to start with. and with maybe just like the load and save operations working, load, save and new. That probably seems like a reasonable goal. The thing with that though, the annoying bit about that is that we don't actually need much in the way of Freya and Dioxus and everything, because Freya doesn't actually have support for system menus, and the file, load, save his system menus. Maybe we can have 3 buttons to do it, but we'd just throw that away if we did that, so that would be a bit pointless. At some point we're going to need some GUI elements and like a list of placements on the screen and things like that, and the list of phases and like a tree view and all this kind of thing, so that we can visualize this project in a nice way. Okay. All right. Yeah. See this view model and the main model are confusing me slightly. I suppose you could have like list, build trees. I'm just trying to think what the other operations are going to be. So at the moment we've got in the planner we've got a bunch of commands that we can do, right? But if we've got a GUI, what other things would we have? We'd have all these same things, but there's going to be more if you want to display the information to the user. So I don't know, one might be like list phases, and it gives you strings for the phase names, right? But it wouldn't give you the details of all the phase and all that stuff, I suppose. And maybe if you wanted to render like a tree view so that you could expand the different things, and then when you click on them, then that has an event, and then it tells the main chunk of the user interface to do something. So let's draw real quick. Let's draw open recent. I've got a template thing, sketch template. There we go. Design. Let's go planner. What do we want the GUI to look like? Just rough sketch. Planner UI main. All right, so I'm thinking maybe something like, let's pick a nice grey. Is that 50% grey? Yeah. And then we've got a brush. Is it this one? This one? Yeah. All right, cool. Can we draw boxes? Oh my god, we can draw boxes. This is amazing. Do they come in on layers? Can I select the things now? I should be able to. Yeah, look, I can. That's good. What's happening here? Go away. That's weird. Why does it have a little dot in the corner? What's that about? Okay, fine. So, you've got a thing. A UI. Yeah, it's an empty window. Fantastic. And let's say... do you think this snaps? No. Is there a way of making it snap to existing objects? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Settings, view, image. Don't know how to use this program. Okay, fine. We'll just go with it. So say, for instance, you know, you've got a menu bar that's at the top and it's got like, come on, file, whoop-de-doo, amazing, look, we've got a UI, and then maybe we have a thing that's like this, you know, that you can drag left and right. And we have phases, top, bottom, you know, like we said, and then placements. I don't remember what's in this, parts. This kind of thing, right? Oh dear. Come on, select this. No. How about center back? There we go. You know, you've got some kind of tree view or whatever like this, right? And then in this center, you can perhaps click on one of these and it changes this view to show you what this is, right? Something on those lines. So if you were fiddling around with the parts, you could see the names of the parts and you could see the loadouts and all the rest of it, right? And then you'd be able to see the feeders and then various different actions for whatever there is. Yeah, that kind of thing. That's what we're going to try and do. But not right now. I need a break. I'm hungry. Yeah, need food. Blue Wizard is about to die. If you've ever played Gauntlet, you'll know what I'm talking about. What did you play? What character did you play? If you ever played Gauntlet, what did you play? It was great. Was it the blue, red warrior, green elf, and there was something else? I don't know. Blue Wizard is about to die. Right, so that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to port the rest of this to like a Crux app, and then we're going to slap some Freya dependencies on it, create a main menu, create a layout with a divider thing, and then use some other crate to do some system menus, add 3 items to it, and try putting a tree view thing there. But yeah, that's what we're going to do next, I suppose. We'll see how it ends up. And then we'll have both a GUI app and a CLI app which can do the same thing. We're going to be able to test it and run all the tests. And I suppose we need to think about the tests, really, don't we? So at the moment, yeah, let's spend a couple of minutes thinking about these tests. At the moment, we've got these tests, right? And we've got this sequence of things that we do, right? And this is how we started testing it. So we run one command and then we open up the file and look at it, and then we run another command, open up the file and look at it, and so on, and we check the logs and all this kind of stuff, right? But all this sequence of stuff, sure, you need some of this for the CLI app, but you only really need to sort of know that the CLI app is making the core app do something. Or, you know, how do you test like the CLI part of it if you don't do functional tests like this? And are we going to just be repeating all of these tests to test the core app? Right, because in our sort of app tests that we've got for this Crux thing, I suppose we can let's go create project. I don't know. Foo. And project file path. Yeah, we're going to need to update this to do stuff. Not right now. That's going to take too long. I need food still. So then, are our app tests going to be doing the same things that we've already got in our sequence tests? More or less of these things at what level of detail? And then, because we want those to work so that we know when we have a GUI sort of shell that the GUI is going to do things. How do we test the GUI? That's yeah. How do you test the GUI? Like, if I have a GUI and it looks like this, how do I know that the GUI is going to render and open properly and resize properly and all this kind of thing? Don't know. Let's have a quick look so that I can go away and think about all this. To see if there's any kind of tests, because I didn't see any. Right, there's loads of examples of, like, how you open a window, for instance, but how do you know it worked? Like, who runs these? And how do you know it worked? Let's look for tests. I mean, I doubt there's tests of examples. But there'd still be a lot of code in the GUI side of things. So, like, for instance, if there was a I don't know, if you've got a window and it's got a divider in it and it was set to 100% or something stupid like that, right? And you couldn't grab the little handle and move it left or whatever. How do you know that it's got a sane value in it? I suppose the thing that you get from the RSX macro could be tested individually, but could it? Can it? Should you? I think we might need to look at testing. Look, there's a testing. No. Web apps. No. JavaScript. Blah, blah, blah. Hell no. Yeah. I might fire a question to the author of Freya to see if he's got any ideas of how you might go about doing testing of it, to see what people do. I'm a little bit scared by the fact that this testing page is only this big. It doesn't fill me with great confidence. You need to know more. Alright, so that's going to be it for now. We'll do another stream. It's probably going to be tomorrow now, because it's probably going to take me the rest of the day to translate that app to the Crux thing and do the commits there. So we'll do another stream tomorrow where we try and build a GUI app on top of the Crux app. Yeah, and we'll see how we get on with that. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so just remember, folks, it's only software. How hard can it be? Alright. We'll